Good evening, my friends. Am I audible? Am I audible? Am I audible? Am I audible? Yes, I am audible. I am audible. Am I audible? Am I audible? Am- I hope I am audible. No response, but I feel I am audible. Let me start. Let me start. Konkona, am I audible? Audible. Okay, let me start. I'm stopping the volume of the handset. Yes. Subject today is revolutionary Leela Nag Rai. Leela Nag Rai. His birthday is 2nd October, that is tomorrow. I will talk on her tonight. His birth was on 2nd October 1900, 3 years after the birth of Subhash Chandra. His father, Girish Chandra Nag, belongs to a highly educated family in Srihatto. His mother was and highly educated Hindu family. Her mother, Kunjalata, came from a Brahmo family, highly educated Brahmo family. Daughter of Prakash Chandra Dev Chaudhuri. But as the father Girish Chandra was in service in Assam, Gwalpada, her birth was in Gwalpada, Assam. Her father was in those days MA in philosophy, first class first in Calcutta University. Remember, in those days, a marriage between a high caste Hindu and a Brahmo family was not common. Was not common. He was MA in philosophy, first class first in Calcutta University. Then he went to Kotak Ravenshaw Collegiate School. Ravenshaw College. It is government college in Kotak, where he was teacher in that college. Remember, in one section, the collegiate school, Ravenshaw Collegiate School, the childhood days of Subhash Chandra and his brothers also. And in this Kotak, their father was very famous lawyer, Janakinath Bose. And there in Ravenshaw College, the associates of his father was that famous Acharya Brajensil, whom Subhash Chandra described as the greatest philosopher ever of this country, Acharya Brajensil. Other teacher was Jogen Chandra Rai Vidyanidhi. Then after passing law degree, For few years, his father practiced law. Then her father joined civil service in Bengal Assam government. Her father and grandfather both were highly educated, highly positioned government servants. But they joined boycott movement, boycott of British goods in the first decade of the last century. Boycott of British goods. And also observed the martyrdom day of Khudiram. They have that courage, though they are government officers. School life of Leela Nag started in Deoghar. Deoghar means in today's Jharkhand. It is Bihar of yesterday. Then he was brought to Calcutta in 1907 at the age of 7 years. Brahmo Balika Vidyalaya, Calcutta. In 1911, he was taken to Dhaka Eden School. Passed there the final exam of school. Then he was taken to Calcutta Bethune School, where he passed his Bethune College, where he, in 1919 he passed IA. And then he joined this college section for BA Honours in English, where from he stood first in final exam with Padmavati gold medal and 100 rupees scholarship. That is a record in that college. After passing in a letter to father, she wrote to his father where he desired to sacrifice his life for the country and countrymen. I have taken all these facts from the volume Shikhamoyi Leela Rai by Agamoni Lahiri and Bijoy Nag. Agamoni Di was one of the closest ladies, the closest circle of Leela Di till his death. And you know Bijoy Nag, whom we call Bijoyda. Bijoyda was adopted by Leela Di as her son, though Bijoyda is the actually Bhaipo, he is the son of her brother. After death of husband revolutionary Anil Rai, she became alone and she adopted Bijoyda as his son. Naturally, Bijoyda regard her as her mother, though he calls her PC in front of us. In 1920, on 1st August, Lokmanya Tilak passed away. As a representative of her colleagues of BA class in the Bethune College, she prayed to the principal of the college, Mrs. Wright, for holiday in memory of the great freedom fighter. Mrs. Wright did not agree, which led to strike in college under her leadership. Then Mrs. Wright compromised. Leela Di gave a speech on comparison between Lokmanya Bal Gangadhar Tilak and O. Dyer, the criminal of Jallianwala Bagh massacre of 1919. Father Girish Chandra Nag, after retirement from his civil service, made his residence in Boxi Bazar in Dhaka. Leela Nag was brought to Dhaka for MA study in newly built Dhaka University. That time in Dhaka University, there was no provision for co-education. Leela insisted for his entry to Dhaka University, when the authority agreed to. He is the first lady, first girl to be allowed to join this university. And in other record I am seeing another girl joined, and Leela then in the line another girl joined. Those two persons are the first two girls to be allowed in this co-education in MA. And she is the first MA in English as lady from Dhaka University. In 1923, she passed MA in English from there. At that time, there was no right of girls, ladies, women to any vote. They have no right of franchise. That time in Dhaka, to get the right of voting, a All Bengal Women's Committee for Right of Voting, Sara Bangla Nari Bhotadhikar Committee, was formed under the leadership of Kumudini Basu. Of this committee, Leela became the associate secretary of this committee. In 1922, in North Bengal, that time North Bengal, that is joint Bengal, there was a devastating flood in North Bengal. Subhash Chandra Bose, for relief works, Subhash Chandra Bose was made the leader of this committee. You know, once Acharya P.C. Rai was the chairman, then Kobi Guru became the chairman. Okay? Yes, chairman. And in this works of flood relief, Leela from Dhaka got indirect contacts with Subhash Chandra Bose, Kobi Guru Rabindranath, and P.C. Rai and Ramananda Chattopadhyay, because all these great personalities were associated with this committee of flood relief. Dev Mallo, thank you. And this is the first indirect contacts. Then in 1923, Leela formed Deepavali Sangha with her 12 compatriots in Dhaka. They created 12 primary schools, centers for adult education in those days, and some training centers for small cottage industries, to make the girls, ladies self-sufficient, self-employment. And under the banner of the Nari Shiksha Mandir, under 5 headings, his social activities was running. One is cultural department to respect the cultural heritage of the country, number 1. Number 2, to run the primary schools for the education, juniors, and high school for matriculation students. And in those days, in this private school, high school, they have got at one time 350 students, where the art of sewing, selai, and physical exercise for the girls, for the development of the body, those classes were there. And private coaching classes without fees girls so that they can properly be trained for exam, and some cottage industry departments to train for girls for small scale industries so that they can be self sufficient, and ashram vibhag, that was for the arrangement of residences for the girls who came from distant villages to Dhaka for study. They have no residence of their own in Dhaka, and this department was arranging residences for the girls who came from distant villages. And parallelly, on the other side, Anil Rai, a patriotic young man, a philosophical mind, a revolutionary, a writer, and a very sensitive man, a very good singer, and lover of Tagore's Rachanabali, Rabindranath Thakur. He was running his Sri Sangha, a revolutionary group, Sri Sangha of Dhaka. That is Sri Sangha is famous that time. If you go into the files of the British intelligence file that time, which are declassified, you will get the mention of the Sri Sangha there, their activities. And Dipali Sangha other side, solely of the girls and ladies. On the other side, they are doing their social works. And Sri Sangha was socio-political, more and revolutionary. But gradually these two practically in function merged. And the common areas of these two personalities was Rabindra Anurag, the love for Rabindranath, nationalism, common area. In the next life, these two associations was functioning in togetherness. And in next part, both these two groups and both these two personalities accepted Subhash Chandra as their leader. Remember, in Bethune School campus, Leela Di was from 1918 to 1921 for his IA and BA honors. And remember, and opposite to this tram line road, there is Scottish Church College. This Scottish Church College, where Subhash Chandra joined in BA honors philosophy in 1917 to 1919, after losing 1 year in his academic career, after being expelled from Presidency College. And there is no record that these two revolutionary minds ever directly contacted with each other. But it is natural to think that the two names were known to each other, at least through other avenues. But there was no direct contact between the two. Only in 1922, during North Bengal devastating flood relief works, there was some indirect contacts. But 1928, during the All India Congress in Calcutta, where under Netaji, under Subhash Chandra, Bengal Volunteers was formed, of which Subhash Chandra was General Officer Commanding GOC. This time, this BV, Bengal Volunteers, in 1920 was formed from selected revolutionaries, volunteers from all revolutionary groups from all over the Bengal, East Bengal, West Bengal, Dhaka, North Bengal, selected to be volunteers in this All India Congress in 1928. And it has got a open plain where volunteers, but there was a sacred plain who are truly revolutionaries, armed revolutionaries, who has subsequently killed many British officers very selectively, very successfully. And the success rate of Bengal volunteers in these revolutionary works is supreme. You know, in Midnapur, these Bengal volunteers, after declaration, they first killed the white British DM Paddy, then Douglas, then Burge, openly telling that they will not tolerate any white DM in the soil of Mednipur. This was the work of Bengal volunteers. But British could not catch Subhash Bose, the brain behind all these things. In this Calcutta Congress, for the first time, Leela Di, Anil Rai, all these persons came to Calcutta in this Congress session, and then there is the direct contact. Not only that, in this Congress, from Chittagong, the revolutionary group of Master the Surjo Sen came, and thereby there was direct contacts which continued. In 1929, no, in Lahore jail, and of these Bengal volunteers, one very prominent character is Jotin Das, who was entrusted for paramilitary training of the revolutionaries. Jotin Das. And this Jotin Das was arrested, kept in Lahore jail. For 63 days starvation, he died there. On 13th September 1929, he died in the Lahore jail. His dead body was brought to Howrah station, from where Subhash Chandra carried this dead body to center of this city. And after that, there was protest march led by Subhash Chandra Bose on this issue, when lathi charge on the body of Subhash Chandra Bose by the British police took place. And as a reaction, Leela Di observed a protest procession in Dhaka, and then the contact of Kobi Guru with Leela Rai. I have already told you, Leela Di was very lover of Rabindranath Rachana Boli. He was Rabindra Premi. He invited Kobi Guru to Dhaka, and to receive Kobi Guru in Dhaka, there was a massive gathering of girls and ladies. This was arranged by Dipali Sangh. And after seeing this gathering, Kobi Guru told, I have gone to many parts of Asia, but I have never seen such a huge gathering of girls and ladies, so organized. And Leela Di is that organizer. He praised Leela Di a lot. Subsequently, when Leela Di planned to start a monthly Bengali magazine only by the girls and ladies, for all, he suggested name of this. He requested Kobi Guru to give the name of this journal, and Kobi Guru suggested that name is Joyasri. And this was, I think, 1931. Yes, 1931. 1931. Let me read the poem which Kobiguru wrote at this time. বিজয়িনী নাই তব ভয়, দুঃখে বাধায় তব জয়, অন্যায়ের অপমান সম্মান করিবে দান, জয়শ্রীর এই পরিচয়। রবীন্দ্রনাথ ঠাকুর, 30th ফাল্গুন 1338, বাংলা শকাব্দ। That is the beginning of Jayashree. And that was the voice of the aspirations of girls and ladies. In 1931, 14th December, Shanti Ghosh and Suniti Chaudhary, both were of the followers of Leela, fired the British DM of Kumilla. On 20th December, Leela Nag, Renu Sen were arrested. And they are the first political detainee, arrested under British ordinance. First political prisoner. In this regard, let me tell, Rani Shiromani of Mednipur was the first political prisoner in the days of British East India Company. Sir, we need a live session on relationship and contact between Netaji and Master the Surjo Sen. Okay, I will try. Okay. From 1931 to 37, the long 6 years, Leela was in jail in Dhaka, Rajshahi, Siuri, Mednipur and Hizli. That is Hizli near Kharagpur. Hizli. And in the prison cell, what was his works? He was not just wasting time. He was cooking in the prison cell for all his co-prisoners. Tasty items. Didi was very fond of cooking for his compatriots and juniors. In prison cell, her associates were Bina Das, Kollani Das. Remember, both these two are the two daughters of teacher of Subhash Chandra in Katok, Ravenshaw School, that is Beni Madhav Das. Both these two girls are revolutionaries. Shanti Ghosh, Indu Sudha Ghosh, all these things, and Kalpana Datta. Those are all in this his co-prisoners. And Didi arranged classes to teach painting and discussion on different subjects. And he inspired his co-prisoners to study and to sit for exams, and some passed school final exams and also college degrees. To jail, the father of Girish Chandra Nag every year in parcel a set of sarees every year to the prison cell, and every year this packet was received and opened not by Leela but by his co-prisoners, and each co-prisoner, as the girls are fond of sarees, they choose their own favorite ones. Only one was left for Leela, which was accepted by her gladly. In 37, 8th August, Leela was released from jail. Joyashree monthly reappeared again in 1937. In 1938, you see, after long exile of Subhash Chandra in Europe, Subhash Chandra came back and he was the All India Congress president in 1938. In this 1938, Subhash Chandra, for the first time in India, created Planning Commission and Planning Committee for planned development of the nation. And of this planning committee, Leela was made a member of the Women's Subcommittee. In 1939, 13th May, Leela married Anil Rai and became Leela Rai. Gradually, Joyashree became mouthpiece of Subhash Chandra and his revolutionary spirit, and subsequently of Forward Bloc. In 1939, Second World War started. And you know, in middle of January 1941, in between 12th and 13th January, Subhash Chandra mysteriously left British India. Shishir Bose and some of his family members very falsely claimed that Shishir took on 16th midnight to Dhanbad. That is a false story. I am telling. They are false story. By selling Subhash Bose, these members are earning a lot of money. It's a false story. Here I am putting one document related to this Leela. Remember, of the closest persons of Leela and Anil Rai, one of the persons is revolutionary Sunil Das. I hope you know who is Sunil Das. Sunil Das was a brilliant postgraduate of chemistry in Dhaka University. He was doing research, but this time he thought revolution will not wait. The liberation movement of the country cannot wait. Research for science can wait. He joined revolution under the leadership of Leela Rai, Anil Rai, who was under the leadership of Subhash Chandra Bose. This revolutionary, Sunil Das, who came before Justice Khosla Commission and on oath told something about the last meet of Leela and Anil Rai with Subhash Chandra in Elgin Road. I am quoting from the document of this witnesses of Justice Khosla Commission, page 3781 to 3782. I am reading. They met Netaji on 12th January, and as far as I remember correctly, Netaji wanted them to meet him again within a day or two. There was another instruction that they should leave Bengal before the 26th January. Remember, in any event, and they were asked to travel widely to UP, Delhi, Bihar, and other places in northern India to organize the Forward Bloc. That was the task given to them, but unfortunately, for some reasons, the last meeting which Netaji wanted to have did not materialize. Clear? Clear? That means there was after 12 there was no subsequent meeting. Why? Why? And why 26 January mentioned so clearly? And this statement has been corroborated. This 12th August, 12th January statement, 12th January corroborated by many angles, many documents, many submissions. Shishir Ghosh is false. And all these documents I have compiled in my volume Vichitra, where I have cleared this issue, the date of the mysterious journey of Subhash Chandra in mid-January from British India, from Elgin Road. All documents is compiled. I have heard that some newly released Bose files can shed some new lights on Mohaniskramon incident. Is that true, sir? Please read my volume Vichitra. About the date, I have given at least 5 documents where it is clear Subhash Chandra has left Elgin Road in between 12th and 13th January. Then, yes, then, oh, sorry, then, in 1942, Cripps mission came. Joyashree office was locked. Leela was re-arrested by British. In 1943 January, Leela, when in Dinajpur jail, it was seen on 26 January, which was in those days was observed as Independence Day. In the early morning it was seen the Indian national flag was seen flying at the head of the jail building. In jail, she was sick. British jail authority refused to transfer her to any hospital. Then, in Calcutta, students' movement started in this demand, and agitation of Nishit Nath Kundu and Dr. Moitreyi Bose and Dr. Nolinaksha Sanyal, all elected representatives in Bengal Legislative Council, they shouted, agitated and compelled British to take her to medical college where she was operated. Last year when I gave a talk on this, on Leela, that time possibly I gave a list of his operations, particularly his sicknesses, medical problems and surgical problems in his last life. I gave a list that I do not know if you can see, you can revisit that. And now I will request you all to read this volume of Shikhamoy Leela Rai, written by Agamani Lahiri and Bijoy Kumar Nag. Please read this whole volume. I have just read 1/5 of this, covered this 1/5 of this volume. Not, and then I will not be able to cover 5% of the documents related to the mysterious relations, sacred relations between Leela and and Bhagabanji. Bhagabanji. Then I'll be talking in both English and Bengali. I will quote from documents, and I'll request you to read the volumes. And remember, Oi Mohamanabo Ashe, the original first volume, and second volume, that is Osis. Actually, to start with, this Oi Mohamanabo Ashe, this is the work of, to start with, this is the work of Leela, continued subsequently by Sunil Das and Sri Vijay Nag. That is a treatise, very important document. And at the same time, I will tell you these two volumes, Oi Mohamanabo Ashe, original one, and then Oshes, also Mahakal Kathon, volume 1 and volume 2, also some of the Mahakal Kathons in my volume Netaji Theke Bhagabanji. In all these all volumes, you will get the mentions of this in isolated places, scattered, discrete, very difficult to bring it together. The mysterious contacts and relations and exchanges of the letters between Bhagabanji, Mahakal on that side, behind the curtain, and Leela, which came out very after a long gap. All has not come back. All are not supposed to come out. Come out. Then I like to few lines from Mahakal Kathon. Yes, Mahakal Kathon. Yes. What is about Sri Sangha? What is Mahakal telling? Mahakal telling. Page 98 of Mahakal Kathon. They are the collections of revolutionary Dr. Pavitra Mohan Rai. Sri Sangha 18টা আলাদা আলাদা সেন্টার করলো। ছেলেদের তরফে হলো শান্তি সংঘ, তারপর তৈরি হলো ধ্রুব সংঘ, এর প্রতিষ্ঠাতা সুকুমার সেন, কালীবাবু ইত্যাদি। শ্রীযুক্তা লীলা রায়, এখানে উনি উল্লেখ করেন শ্রীযুক্তা রায়, তৈরি করলেন দীপালি সংঘ, এক্সক্লুসিভলি মেয়েদের জন্য। দীপালি সংঘ বাই শ্রীযুক্তা রায়, এক্সক্লুসিভলি ফর গার্লস। দীপালি সংঘ পূর্ববঙ্গে, বিশেষ করে ঢাকায় মুখ উজ্জ্বল করে। ইন ঢাকা, ইন ইস্ট বেঙ্গল, দিস দীপালি সংঘ ব্রাইটেন দ্য ফেস অফ ঢাকা অ্যান্ড ইস্ট বেঙ্গল। ঢাকার প্রথম ন্যাশনাল সমবায় ভান্ডার খোলেন। দ্য ক্রেডিট অফ ওপেনিং অফ দ্য ফার্স্ট ন্যাশনাল কোঅপারেটিভ শপ goes to this দীপালি সংঘ। দীপালি সংঘের প্রেরণায় রংপুরে সুরেন বর্মন কাজ শুরু করলেন এবং পূর্ণদাসের শান্তি সেনা। And the inspiration of Dipali Sangha in Rangpur, Surendra Burma started his works, and also the works of Purnodas, that is Shanti Sena. Then another scattered area about Sriyukta Rai. Sriyukta Rai এখানে আসার আগে থেকে ওর লোক দিয়ে আমার কাছে চিঠি পাঠাচ্ছেন। একজন লোককেও বলেছেন ও এসে গেছে। আমার ও তো কিছু করার আছে, কোন দিকে কি করব জেনে আসবে। হেমদা অতুলবাবুর লোকের সঙ্গে গোপনে গোপনে যোগাযোগ করেছেন। হেমদার কথা, হেমদা মিন্স হেমচন্দ্র ঘোষ, হেমদার কথা শোনার পরে তাকে এমন একটা কথা বলে পাঠাই যে কথাটা হেমদা ছাড়া অন্য কারো জানা কথা নয়, অন্য কেউ জানে না। তারপরে একটা মেসেজ দিই, এমন একটা মিডিয়াম দিয়ে খবর দিয়েছিলাম যাকে হেমদা কোনোদিন কল্পনাও করতে পারবে না যে এই মিডিয়ামের সঙ্গে আমার সম্বন্ধ হতে পারে। হি ওয়াজ গিভেন এ চান্স, বাট হি ম্যানেজ টু মিস ইট। I gave him a chance. He was given a chance, but he managed to miss it. অর্থাৎ আমি হেমদাকে একটা সুযোগ দিয়েছিলাম আমার সঙ্গে যোগাযোগ স্থাপন করতে, তিনি সে সুযোগটা গ্রহণ করতে পারেননি। এইবার একটা অভিমানের কথা, ভীষণ অভিমানের কথা। যাকে তিনি বেশি শ্রদ্ধা করেন, ভালোবাসেন, অভিমান তো সেখানেই করা সম্ভব, অভিমান সেখানেই হবে। একমাত্র পবিত্র ছাড়া পলিটিক্সের মোহ কেউ ছাড়তে পারেনি, অথচ সবাইকে বারবার করে বুঝিয়ে দিয়েছি। শ্রীযুক্তা রায়, যার রেপুটেশন ইন্টারন্যাশনালি, জার্মানির মতো দেশ তার কাছে ফিমেল এডুকেশনের স্কিম চেয়েছিল। শ্রীযুক্তা is so highly educated, so highly reputed that Germany wanted from him the female education scheme. So highly educated and world famous Leela, who comes from a high family, was arrested under Defense of India rules. তিনিও পার্টির মোহ ছাড়িয়ে, নেতাগিরির মোহ ছাড়িয়ে উঠতে পারেননি। এই জিনিসগুলো যখন দেখি তখন মনে ব্যথা পাই, অভিমানের কথা। আলটিমেটলি যদি সব ত্যাগ করলেন, রিজাইন ফ্রম দ্য অল ইন্ডিয়া, the post of a president of the All India Party. He resigned. And many other mention. I will not. I request all you to read this volume. Then I will come to that area, that question. That Noimisharanno chapter. The question is, yes, so long we know, after crossing the Himalayas, he definitely, so far the records are, he stayed in Nepal as a guest of the royal family. Then after entering this India, he was in Noimisharanno. How the Calcutta groups came to know, that's the mystery. Who is the first man? Who is the first man? Is it the group of, says the Suresh Chandra Bose, or revolutionary Dr. Pavitra Mohan Rai, or Leela Rai? So many questions. Or Dr. Professor Sen, who is the first man? And I have collated all these documents in one of the chapters in my volume, Netaji Subhash Chandra Kichu Bitorko, Kichu Totto, 4th volume. I collated. I have shown there. Yes. Leela Di came to know the fact of his arrival in India and that he is residing in Noimisharanno, came to know from whom? What is his source of information? And so far the records, it is from Professor Sen, who accidentally came across, who went to this Noimis for his health recovery, accidentally met this mystery man That was in the month of writing. I am in the month of those documents which we got from the declassified files of PMO which came to JMCI. This correspondence of this Professor Sen with Jawaharlal Nehru. From there, what we get? What we get? Yes. What we get? There we get that the Professor Sen, yes, went to this area in July August 1962 for health recovery. July August 1962. There this meeting was accidental. Returning home in Calcutta, he wrote to Nehru. That was the mistake of Professor Sen. And before writing, she did not take the permission of Bhagabanji. But somehow, from some mysterious source, Bhagabanji came to know that Professor Sen has wrote to Nehru. He disconnected all relations with Professor Sen. That means, so far our available records, it is Professor Sen. After coming to Calcutta, not only wrote to Nehru, but to in the inner circles of him, including Didi, Leela, who conveyed this to his close circles, many, including R.C. Majumdar, Dilip Rai, all these persons. But before that, in some unpublished records I am seeing, in the hand of revolutionary Dr. Pavitra Mohan Rai, there is a typed 3-page long letter written by this mystery man as Fakir. Even before that, in 1962, before the accidental meeting of this Professor Sen with Bhagabanji in Nimsar. I hope to publish this in subsequent volumes. And the group of says the Suresh Chandra Bose, that is independent access. Independent access. Clear? And Leela went to Nimshar in 63. That is March 23rd to 30th March 63. For 8 days he was there. I visited those places where he stayed. But one thing is clear. From the very writings of Leela, he could not go face to face to this mystery man. She was not allowed. All the correspondences or messages and informations was through few persons. Those are Mataji, Saraswati Devi Shukla, Ma Jagadamba, Srikanta Sharma. That time. These are for evidences. I have compiled all the, and question is, why she was not allowed? She went such a long distance mysteriously, taking so much labor. Definitely for meeting, directly meeting, but she was not allowed. Not allowed. I have given explanations. in my volume. That is my explanation. You can read it, you can reject it. That's your liking. She was not allowed. This is directly written by Leela. She was not allowed. There is no direct meeting. And that is Leela writing is published in Oi Mohammadabashe in Joyশ্রী pages. She was not allowed. How much time? I think about 50 minutes. Then I will talk only for few minutes. From volume Oi Mohammadabashe Oses. There is a huge letter of about 28 pages, one letter, because Leela, after coming back from Naimisharanya, wrote a series of letters. But for each letter, in response to each letter, Bhagabanji could not respond. Naturally, after few letters, in a single letter, he was written about 30 pages, long answers one after another on different issues. That is published in this volume, Oi Mohammadabashe Oses by Charonik. From page, yes, only I will write the English and Bengali combination. If you see these letters, original one, very difficult to read. They are all Roman capital. To decipher from there, not easy. Roman capital. Few lines I am reading. This is a huge letter of about 30 pages. You please read it. Collect this volume and read it. Frankly speaking, I have ceased to care for me. I absolutely do not care what happens to my frail body or how I die, and for good reasons. Why and for whom? I know now there is no one who has shed 2 drops of tears on my death, and I know best. Now there is no one who will shed half a drop of tear on desert like this fool. I feel singularly free and triumphant with this knowledge. Yes, that's it. I see and feel myself a free eagle, a free lion, a monos, standing severely and aesthetically single and alone on the highest craggy summit, with all the cyclones blowing around and raging by. Oh yes, there were 3 were on this God's earth some souls who care for this bullish dog of a boorish son, but they were gods and goddesses who designed assuming those 5 forms, and the cadaverous fool that I have had always been one to could not even ... but oh, there, a kind of providence has gathered them up and away. Yes, that's it. I cannot care less what happens to this body. Now know this is my last moral coil. So my only concern is to see what my sadhana is put through, and I think my conscience is perfectly clear before God and my heart. Remember one thing, uh, this some of the lines is already published in Oma, ওই মহামানবাসে, but there the lines are separated, not in continuity, because if the enemy read all these things in continuity, they can trace what he is telling, and the security belt of this mystery man may be hampered. After a long gap, that's why this time the publisher has got courage to publish the whole letter in continuity, undisturbed, unedited. A voice speaks in me, I don't know whose. I think it was there in my embryonet, in my infancy, in my childhood, dormant, but spurring me on, and oh, I shout after it, just like a masked deer. The voice is stronger, louder, and non-knocking. They know it, they hear the voice, but not the source. Another, after a few pages. It is quite possible যে হয়তো আপনি মনে করতে পারেন যে something which I carry inside my body তাহাই আমার স্বাস্থ্যের উপর অ্যাডভার্স অ্যান্ড ম্যালাইন ইফেক্ট করছে। আপনার এ কথা ভাবা সম্পূর্ণ স্বাভাবিক, কিন্তু I most emphatically and categorically assure you upon my word that something inside me is absolutely harmless and neutral until activated. It cannot be detected. It can be activated only by me. Within a second shall give sleep before the word Durga. Of course, the quantity I carry inside is really very, very heavy, enough to give sleep to 15 to 20 persons, simply for the reason that I refuse to take chance. This time, who knows if my system, due to yogic practices, 3-4 জনের ডোজ হজম করে বসে। এজন্যই 15 থেকে 20 জনের পুরো ডোজ আছে। এই ভয়ানক বেশি ডোজ অ্যাক্টিভেটেড হলে শুধু এইটুকু তফাৎ যে স্লিপের পর যখন রাইগার মর্টিস সেট ইন করবে তখন চামড়ার রং তামাটে অথবা কালো হয়ে যাবে। আর অনেক কথা আছে, কি বলছে বুঝতে পারছেন? কি ভয়ঙ্কর কথা। আমি একটা ভয়ঙ্কর পয়জন আমি আমার শরীরের মধ্যে রেখেছি, একদম সঙ্গে রেখেছি। সেটা লেথাল ডোজের 15-20 গুণ বেশি। পুরোটা কনজিউম করলে 15-20 জন একদম এটারনাল স্লিপে চলে যাবে, মারা যাবে। এবং এটা নিউট্রাল, চুপ করে থাকে। এটা আমি অ্যাক্টিভেট করলেই এটা কাজ হবে। অ্যাক্টিভেট না করলে কাজ হবে না। তুমি ভয় পেও না, কিন্তু এটা আমি সঙ্গে রাখি। কেন? অন্য জায়গায় বলেছেন আমি সবসময় কসাস থাকি, এবং মনে রেখো ওরা আমাকে কখনো জ্যান্ত পাবে না, ওরা আমাকে কখনো জ্যান্ত পাবে না, কখনো জ্যান্ত পাবে না, কখনো জ্যান্ত পাবে না। কি বলছেন যে আমি যদি 3-4 ওয়ান ডোজ দিলে আমার বডিতে যৌগিক ক্রিয়ার জন্য আমার এনজাইম সিস্টেম এত স্ট্রং, ওগুলোকে হজম করে ফেলবে, আমার এটারনাল স্লিপ হবে না, মৃত্যু আসবে না। 3-4 গুণ নিয়ে আমি, সুতরাং আমি রিস্ক নেব না, আমি পুরো ডোজটা অ্যাক্টিভেট করে দেবো, প্রয়োজন হলে ওই 15-20 গুণ ডোজ আমি অ্যাক্টিভেট করবো। আই উইল গো টু এটারনাল স্লিপ। ওরা আমাকে কখনো জীবনে জ্যান্ত পাবে না। হাউ কসাস, হাউ কসাস। কি জীবনের দুঃখ বুঝতে পেরেছেন? ওরা আমাকে কখনো জ্যান্ত পাবে না। আর সবাই শোলমারি করে যাচ্ছে। কি বলছেন, নিজে অনেক জায়গায় বলেছেন এই কথাগুলো, অনেক জায়গায় অনেক অন্য ভাষায় বলেছেন। দি ডেড ইজ অ্যালিভ, ওই পর্যন্ত তো ঠিকই আছে, কিন্তু শোলমারি, পুটিমারি, বোয়ালমারি কোথাও হতে পারেন? প্রশ্ন করছেন? তোমাদের ওই শোলমারি, পুটিমারি, বোয়ালমারি কোথাও হতে পারেন? কিন্তু হি ইজ ইন ইন্ডিয়া, এটা কে কে জেনে গেছে? আর বি অ্যান্ড পি, এটা আর বি অ্যান্ড পি। আর মানে কে কে জেনে গেছে? আর কি? আর বলতে কি মিন করতে চাইছেন? ইজ ইট রাশিয়া? বা রাশিয়া নোজ অটোমেটিক্যালি। বি ব্রিটিশ, এনিমি। পি পাকিস্তান, আই ডু নট নো। আর বি পি। আমাকে চিন্তিত করেছে। দয়া করে বলুন কোথা থেকে, কেমন করে উনি কথা জেনেছেন? অনেক কিছু কথা আছে, অভিমানের কথা, ভবিষ্যৎ কিছু কি ঘটতে চলেছে সে কথা। আর একটা জায়গায় একটু পরে আমি থেমে যাব। I'll tell you to collect this volume and read 10-20 times. I can tell you to understand, to fathom Oma. I have to read more than 50 times. And this Osses I have read a lot of, many times. But still many areas I have not understood. একটা জায়গা পড়ছি, মাচারে, page number 26. Do you not understand the dead's life and sadhana? I always thought you understood most of all. Were I mistaken then? Well, I ain't wonder if it is so proved. Don't you see that this fanatic life of the dead, this frightfully abnormal privations and sufferings, simply a my main OS and or আপনি আচরি ধর্ম পরের শেখায়। Your dead men work full blast for 7 days without food and sleep, taking only water. They have seen the dead like a dead general. তিব্বতে এবং আরেক জায়গায় আমার অন্য, like a shrunken corpse rising out of grave, leading them in and through campaigns above and underground. Appears to them that as if something non-human and terrible is sitting therein, the dead S.S eyes, which give them a creep Of course, it has repeatedly been seen that on the eighth day I fall down in a faint. First time it happened in S apostrophe S after 7 days and nights surging. On the eighth morning, while explaining the different moves, so they say, they saw my voice suddenly stop, eyes close, and the standing body suddenly large. Can work for 28 days with one handful of some eatables a day plus water. When they see for themselves my frightful austere living, the abnormal hardships undergo fanatic Jesuits, legionaries, though they are, they become double charged with determination. Of course, they have, which any person might need. They have absolutely no want but my living such a frightfully austere and hard life. Almost all the plenty makes them give their total affection, love, dedication, adoration, and unquestioned obedience and the highest sacrifice. এছাড়াও তপস্যার অর্থ কি? শরীর এবং ইন্দ্রিয়াদির নিগ্রহের নামই তপস্যা. It is beyond my head. If you can understand, okay, good. How are you 1000% certain that they shall unreservedly believe you? You have not sake for your mission's sake, for the dead's life's sake. Please remember, this time no chance, no mistakes, no failure. How are you 1000% certain that they shall unreservedly believe you? For heaven's sake, for your mission's sake, for the dead's life's sake, please remember, this time no chance, no mistakes, no failure for you. Let me stop here, friends. Page 29. Let me stop. Demallo, sorry sir, if I sound too childish. ওরা আমাকে কখনো জ্যান্ত পাবে না. Does it signify the timeless perpetual extension of war criminal warrant, sir? I don't know. I'll discuss on this war criminal issue one day. দেমাল্লো, ওরা কখনো আমায় জ্যান্ত পাবে না. Have you seen that line somewhere else? Or Mahakal Kathon? Sir, I have heard some newly released Bose files. I have told you at least 5 documents I have compiled to clearly establish that story of Shishir Bose is false. Sir, we need to live session on relationship between Mastada and Netaji. Okay. Konkona audible. Let me stop here now. Oh, more than 1 year, 1 hour. Let me stop here. Please, if you can search my last year talk on Leela on or around 2nd October, please share it to the Facebook. Please share it. I cannot do all these things. I cannot go back to find out what I have done. If you can help me, okay, you can bring it up to reshare it. Thank you tonight. Thank you to bear me, to tolerate me. Okay. Shubharatri. Sir, oh, let me stop. Let me stop.